Heather asked, after a few months in Lifehack Tribe, I was able to start outsourcing tasks to my staff. We're a small bakery and I just lost 30% of my staff, and most of the tasks I outsource are back on my plate. I'm desperately trying to resist the urge to go back to my I'm the only one that can do it mentality until we can find the right people. Things are chaotic. So I'm left feeling so frustrated, and I'm even having a hard time focusing on my pre-planning or picking/sticking to a leverage priority. Any words of advice? I'm in pre-planning for the month right now and I feel like I'm going to cry.
I just want to be clear. When you outsourced the first time, did you outsource via SOP, or did you just take the information from your head and verbally transfer it to that person?
Verbally, but now I have some SOPs written.
Yes. So there was your mistake. When we outsource, we want to outsource in such a way as we know we're going to lose the person that we've transferred that information to. If I hire, I'll just use somebody, Jenny Chambers. This isn't Japan in the 1980s. She's not going to work for me until she's 80 years old and then get a Rolex watch at the end. The truth is we live in an economy where we lose people. And we lose people frequently. We live in a high turnover economy where people are looking better or worse, maybe better for them, maybe worse for us, I don't know. But we can, in the United States, let people go fast and they can quit fast. And I've had a lot of clients where there was what I call a mutiny, where somebody got sour and they spread that sourness and poison around other people, got other people feeling sour, and then you get a bunch of people leaving at the same time. And there's no way for that to come off in a pleasant way. You just got to cut it out, cut out the cancer and just start over again. The best way to start over again is to say, I have all of the systems, the manuals and the SOPs. So now it's just a matter of recruiting and plugging people into these SOPs. And so, yes, it's going to be an uncomfortable month and it's going to set me back on my champagne moment, but it's not going to be unsolvable. When I get clients who really panic, it's when they know in their heart of hearts, they don't have the SOPs. They're going to need to hire and train every single one of these people one by one. And it's going to take a tremendous amount of time and a tremendous amount of energy. And they're just so deflated thinking about all the time and energy that it's going to take. Let me just give an example of what it feels like when it's done right. And by the way, I know you're a bakery and I'm not, so forgive that there are key differences between my business and yours. And I want to acknowledge that before I give this example. When I hire a new person, I give them what I call a master map of systems, which is a top to bottom description of how everything happens in that section of the business. So for example, if I hire Jenny, before I even talk to her once, I will send Jenny this business manual and I will say, Jenny, start at the top, read every single SOP and watch every single video, even if it's not your role. Do that 3 times through. That is your first week of employment with us. I don't even meet with you. Your first week of employment is you're just reading and watching all of the SOPs for the whole thing. Then what we're going to do is my first meeting with you is going to be next week. Bring any questions that you have that weren't answered by the SOP, bring those to me and our meeting next week, and I'll answer any and all of them and walk you through any finer points that weren't covered in the SOPs. And I can tell you that I won't say 100% of the time, like 95% of the time when I get to that final meeting and I say, great, good to meet you, Jenny. Did you read the SOPs? Did you watch the videos? Yes, yes, yes. Fantastic. What are your questions? And nothing. I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to go. When you've done that enough times, you have this rock solid belief that your SOPs are unscrew-upable. And then when we lose people, it's not an earth-shattering experience, even when we lose multiple people at the same time. So I don't want to gel this over too much. When we've lost critical people, it has definitely set back our timeline. It's just, I'm separating the tragedies here. One tragedy is, oh, my timeline got screwed up because now I need to step back, recruit some people, plug them in and make sure that they get well plugged into my systems. The second tragedy is, oh my God, I'm the only baker here. I'm doing all these jobs and I am simultaneously going to have to do all these jobs and one by one train all of these people. How am I going to do it? I may not survive it. That's the second tragedy. And when we combine those two tragedies, it just feels like we can't handle it. Let me pass it back to you, Heather. How's this landing with you?
It's good. I mean, some of it is SOP related for sure. And then a lot of it is mutiny. And I think that it was a shift in my staff because all of a sudden they were asked to do more, right? Because I'm not doing this anymore. I need to work on the bigger picture items. And so I think that's part of where my mutiny came from.
And you know what?
So I'm hoping.
Good.
Yeah.
I say good, and I don't mean good into the situation that you're going through right now. Listen, if you start dating a guy and you let him talk to you and treat you in the wrong way, and then 2 years later or 3 years later, you go back and try to reset that boundary and say, you know what? I decided that you can't talk to me like that, right? Do you think he's going to stay, or do you think he's going to leave? He's probably going to leave, and you're better off for it, because once you've set a relationship with a human being, for better or worse, that's the boundaries that you've set for that. And now, even if it was an unreasonable boundary, even if at the beginning you really shouldn't have expected that he would talk to you or treat you that way, now it's become the de facto boundary. And for you to try to retake that territory feels like an invasion to him, even though truthfully, if he was a perfect Buddha and could step away and see, he may be able to say, oh, okay, actually, I never should have been talking to her or treating her that way. And this can happen with employees and coworkers, where you know, I'm doing work that was previously over on Kate's side. It was always under Kate's job description, but I had a special skill, so I was doing it for years and years and years. Then one day I write an SOP and I give it over to Kate and say, hey, Kate, by the way, I just wrote an SOP for how to do this. This really isn't in my job description. I'm giving it back over to you. Let me know if you have any questions. Kate can receive that as an attack. Like, how dare you? What are you doing to me? This is a renegotiation. And truthfully, it is. So taking radical ownership, me and you did renegotiate. And it's probably better that the people who weren't willing to be heads up in that renegotiation are leaving, so that you can get a new crop of people for whom it is a new boundary, and you won't have to fight this battle. It'll just be, here's the expectations for this role, and they won't feel attacked because they have no prior boundary set with you. If we could turn back the clock, would and could we have done something maybe different and rolled it out a little bit slower? Possibly, but that's not a productive line of inquiry. We're here now. We're dealing with this now. I think the best attitude for you to take right now is to say, that was a natural function of resetting my boundary to the right place. I was probably going to lose people. Unfortunately, I lost a little bit more all at once than I thought. However, I'm committed to going forward in a way where I bring on new people, setting the right boundaries with the right communication, so that we can create the kind of company where everybody is a win-win. I just want to share with you a philosophy I have, which is I only search for the win-win. When I'm looking out into the world to create personal relationships, business relationships, employment relationships, I refuse to accept a situation where I lose and my employee wins, or I win and they lose. Both of those are equally unacceptable to me. I'm only looking for a win-win. How do I win and our company moves forward, and you win as a function of working for me? And so I would like you to put yourself in that place where you're like, hey, I'm not looking for a relationship that's abusive in either direction. I'm not looking for a relationship where you get to, you know, I'm running myself mad and you get to have a simpler set of chores. And I'm not looking for a situation where I've got my toes in the beach and you're working like a madman for low pay. What I'm looking for is that fair win-win scenario where everybody's pulling their equal amount of weight. We all have a high-five work culture and we love what we do. And we enjoy working. This business is not sustainable if you don't love it. Period, end of story. Which means that everybody's out of a job. And I can't tell you how many clients I've had who've looked me in the face with a profitable business and said, I'm going to shut it down. I'm just shutting it down. I'm walking away. Because I would rather walk away than hate my life the way that I do. And then they shut it down and all of their employees are like, oh, you know, how am I going to feed my family? How am I going to do this? Oh, I didn't realize you were thinking that. You know, everybody's triply disappointed if you shut it down. So remember, your happiness and sustainability in this role is what's keeping the whole boat afloat.
I needed to hear that. It's been something that I've been thinking about a lot. So, yeah. And I mean, a lot of the new responsibilities that I handed off to people came with pay raises and things, but yeah, it's just kind of a weird thing, but I think it's probably for the best that they're gone. And, you know, I'm just going to be uncomfortable for a little bit and hopefully get somebody soon.
That is exactly what's going to happen. You are better for them being gone. It's not personal, even though it feels it, and maybe they said something personal on the way out, because listen, people sometimes need to justify something to themselves emotionally. That's just a logical decision. Maybe they just didn't like the balance of responsibility and pay that you were offering them, and they wanted to leave, but they're not mature enough to say, thank you, I appreciate you, I'm gonna leave anyways, but no hard feelings. I had a girlfriend once where we weren't good for each other, and instead of, we were too young for us to come together as adult human beings and just say, what? I don't think we're good for each other. And so what she went and did is she did something, I'm not going to air my dirty laundry, but she did something that was unforgivable. And in the fullness of time, I realized she sort of had to do that because emotionally she had to create a break so that she could justify to herself ending the relationship. And in some ways, I feel thankful now because I would want to have been in a longer relationship with her and we weren't good for each other. It's just that you got to recognize that sometimes when people stab you on the way out, it's not, it's like, oh God, how could you do that? We were so close. We worked together for so many years. Why would you do that? Just know maybe in your head, what you can justify it is, sometimes people need to do something extreme to justify a break. They need to take some kind of extreme action or create some kind of extreme narrative in order to justify what they could just justify rationally, which is, I don't like the deal anymore, so I'm going to go somewhere else.